Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Guy Bisson. I'm Executive Director of Ampere Analysis. And today I'm having a fireside chat with Simon Bryden, who is Senior Director, Sports Rights Anti-Piracy for the technology company Cinemedia. Simon, you've just published the first in a series of white papers detailing findings from a global study on sports piracy. What was your rationale for carrying out that study?
Well, first of all, live sports is obviously a massive driver of piracy around the world. Between broadcasters and media rights owners, the sports media rights market is worth $52 billion this year alone. That's just projected for 2020. So we wanted to understand the motivation of the sports fans who consume sport illegally. There's a preconception that most pirate consumers are outside of the sports media value chain, and we wanted to see if that was true. So as part of our mission to combating sports piracy, we felt it would be valuable to discover some genuine insight into who the illegal consumers of sport are, hence the idea of a consumer survey that would be global in sport, in scope, and for the purpose to educate the industry, educate our customers, and educate ourselves. We wanted to know about the attitudes of consumers in order that we can shape responses and shape our services. If we understood the consumer and what drives them and their motivations, then it would help us more effectively discourage and stop piracy. And we'll go on. This is the first of a series of 4 in reports 2 to 4. We'll look at that in further depth.
So the research, I understand, it certainly threw out some interesting statistics. Can you share a few of the ones that stood out for you?
Well, firstly, we surveyed over 6,000 people in 10 different markets. Important markets: USA, UK, Germany, Italy, the Middle East, Brazil, Malaysia. And of those 6,000 surveyed, just 16% said they never watched illegal pirated sport. So 84% of those we surveyed are watching some sport illegally. That is an enormous proportion of the survey. 51% say they watched illegally at least once a month. And of these 51%, nearly 1/3 of them are paying for an illegal pirate service. However, a very high percentage, 89%, also have a legitimate pay TV service. And 44% of them have a legitimate sports OTT service. So the biggest viewers of illegal sport, 42%, they're also very engaged sports fans. So nearly 1/3 of the pirate service users that we surveyed claim their motivation is due to a lack of a legitimate supplier. One can presume from this there either isn't a legitimate supplier of the sport that they want to consume, or they do not know where to find it in this market. So very interestingly, these people are paying for media, and they are actively engaged sports fans.
So there's a conundrum in there that we've got very, very active sports fans who are also engaging heavily in piracy. One of the things that the report does is segment out different types of sport viewer and drill into some of the very nuanced behavior and behavioral differences between those different types of consumer. Can you tell us a bit more about that segmentation?
Yeah, we uncovered 3 segments, and within a couple of those segments, there were sort of 2 clear distinctions as well. First of all, casual spectators. So this group came out at 43% of the pirate users. It was the largest group. They're older, most likely to have a non-pay TV service, and they don't pay for a sports service. But they were very event driven. So this group is surprisingly active, and they break down into two groups. One group we call the Silver Islanders. They know that piracy is wrong. They don't want to pay, or they don't think they watch enough sport to make it worthwhile paying, but they still do it. So they're very hypocritical, this group. They know it's wrong, but they do it. The other category in the casual spectator were what we call the ocean explorers. They feel much the same as the first group, but they see nothing in wrong what they're doing, and they feel justified in doing it. Now, these casual spectators, funnily enough, live in the most developed markets: the USA, UK, Germany, Italy, and across the Middle East. So these are older, smart, but they just don't see the value or think that they're big enough sports fans to pay for a sports service. Then we have the loyal stalwarts, we call them. These are about 26% of the pirate users they survey. They have a pay TV sports service. They know what they're doing is wrong, but they can't get everything on their service. So they want more. They're paying, they probably think they're paying enough, but they want more, so they have to go outside their legitimate service. And then we have the fickle super fans, as we call them, 31% of the pirate users. These again break down into two categories. First group, the internet buccaneers. Younger, cord cutters, cord never connectors, price conscious, prepared to pay, but they want everything in one place. They know what they're doing is wrong. They're very social, they share, they use VPNs. They know it's wrong, they'd rather use a legal service. And in that group of fickle super fans, we also have the content plunderers. They do exactly what the first group, the internet buccaneers, do, but they don't see anything wrong in what they do. So again, like the casual spectators, where they split, there's a definite split between those that see what they're doing is wrong and those what they're seeing is fully justified.
I certainly found that one of the most interesting points. It was the sort of moral stance and the difference in the moral stance and attitudes towards piracy that really came out among those different segments. So one of the fascinating things that came out in the report was some of the very subtle nuances between different types of sport fan and how that can lead to differences in the drivers for them actually consuming illegal content. What did you find there?
Well, we found that the fickle super fans and the loyal stalwarts clearly pay for sport, but they're very price, access, and service conscious. So their motivation is to get sports content that is not in their legitimate pay TV package, or not available in the territory that they're in, or not available by the means of consumption that their service provider is supporting to them. So another driver is the ease of access and freedom of access. There's clearly a group, they don't want tied down to a contract, they don't want a set-top box, they want to be flexible, they want to be mobile. And you can understand that. In that regard, they act in the same way that I do, but I do it as a legitimate user. I consume multiple OTT subscriptions: Sky Sports on Now TV, BT Sport, Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. I want ease of multiple devices. I want multiple home use. I want flexibility, and I want portability for me and my family. I'm doing it legitimately, but a lot of consumers are finding that, and they're finding that flexibility with the quality of a pirate service. Then, of course, we have economics. Money plays a major part in a lot of decisions. Some feel they're already paying too much, but some don't see the value. So it's too expensive, or they don't want to pay for it. Some also begrudge it. They see a lot of money in the sports world. They see a lot of wealth flowing through it and footballers. So they begrudge paying it. They think there's enough money in the sport. Plus, of course, especially with the first group that we looked at, the casual spectators, they like to top up around big events. Casual fans who want to see major events. These might also be sports TV subscribers who resent paying a top-up. So that might be a pay-per-view boxing event. They're already buying, say, Sky Sports, and they don't want to pay for a top-up pay-per-view event. Or it might be a loyal fan who pays for TV, but he can't access a 3 p.m. Premier League kickoff on a Saturday because they are never shown live in the UK market. So in this case, the super fan is denied access, and he has two options: attend the game or pirate it. He doesn't have any other option there. So we're saying those are some of the key drivers that are motivating these various groups of customers.
So there's certainly some challenges there in terms of addressing piracy. I guess the key question is, why does any of this matter, particularly when we think about rights holders, and particularly when we think about pay TV platforms and providers? What are some of the learnings perhaps they can take from this research to help combat illegal content consumption?
It's a very good question. Yeah, look, for the first time, we're able to see inside the minds of the consumers who are choosing to access illegal pirated streams. With these understandings, I think it allows lots of organizations, broadcasters, organizations like Cinemedia to specifically target and to combat effectively illegal content consumption. So I think firstly, our mission at Cinemedia is to stop illegal piracy, and we have a major focus and investment on our unrivaled next generation services targeted against the commercially driven, organized criminal IPTV services. Services that compete against legitimate broadcasters, many of whom are our customers. But of course, what we have learned here paints a much more nuanced picture, as you said earlier. Yes, we need to shut down the pirate services, but I think we have learned that pirate consumers are not simply driven by economic factors. One idea that I've heard in the past, that pirate consumers were all don't pay, won't pay, doesn't hold water. The idea that the consumers of illegal piracy have no value in the legal and legitimate sports media value chain clearly doesn't hold up by this research. There are very distinct types of consumer who see what they are doing is wrong, but they don't see the value in a full pay TV sports service. But they do want major events. This gives TV providers an opportunity to commercially cater for this casual spectator. Not all sports fans are clearly die-hard sports fans. Secondly, many of our security services, such as credential sharing and fraud insight or streaming piracy disruption, they're aimed at stopping illegal piracy, but they also are aimed and have the capability to encourage and drive illegal users to pay for legitimate services. And I think this survey clearly shows the vast majority of pirate services are prepared to pay. 89% of the survey have a pay TV or a pay OTT service. So clearly, among this great group of illegal users of pirate services, there is a willingness to pay, and services that can cut piracy and push these users to pay will have a clear value for broadcasters and rights owners. Also, this granular understanding of the sports fans' attitudes and behaviors, it enables broadcasters, platform owners, to identify opportunities to convert illegal watching into incremental revenues. This can be done with anti-piracy and revenue protection services, but it also needs to be done by broadcasters through education, their marketing plans, understanding their data, and of course, cutting down. If we can tackle the piracy issue, that will also help drive people to legitimate legal services.
So it's clear there's not a one size fits all solution. And I think some of the nuances that came out in your segmentation very much point to the fact that there are different solutions for different types of consumer. This, of course, is the first of 4 reports. You're going to be publishing 3 more from the results of this extensive survey. The report, I understand, can be downloaded from the Cinemedia website, cinemedia.com, from the Insights section. And there's also going to be a webinar on this particular report on the 17th of June at 2 p.m. Registration also through the Cinemedia website. Thank you very much, Simon. I think that was absolutely fascinating. Some of that nuance I don't think has really been properly spoken about or fully elucidated before. So very, very interesting findings there from that survey. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Guy.